Welcome to Chasing the Beats, a show dedicated to weeklybeats.com artists, their songs, and stories from the 2024 season. I'm your host, SQF, and today's guest is Cursory. Cursory, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I was just telling you I was going through my Weekly Beats favorite artists and came across a wall of favorites on your page. So I wanted to have you on to hear a little bit more behind the scenes of how you made these and just hear about your experience in Weekly Beats.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm flattered. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So is this your first Weekly Beats?
This is, yeah. This is the first one. I know about it through my friend Level Capybara. We're like childhood
Nice.
friends and go way back. And he's done it for a while. This might be like his fourth Weekly Beats.
Oh, okay.
And like I've known that he's done this for a while. And he's always been like, oh, you should do it. Like, it's fun. Yeah. Like, you get a lot out of it. And I was like, yeah, but like, man, a song every week for a year? Like, that's crazy, man.
That's
like,
a lot.
Yeah. And I think at the start of the year, I was like, I could do this for like a couple weeks, probably.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds all right. Like, I'm not going to be committal about it.
Yeah.
Like,
if I miss a week, fine.
Yeah. And man, like, what a cool community to get to kind of sneak into. And what a cool experience to do. It's been awesome.
Is that what kept you going?
Yeah. Like the community was a big part of it. I think trying to become like a more process oriented person than a product oriented person.
Yeah.
When thinking about music. Because I'm just like bad at finishing stuff.
Same.
Which is maybe a common thing with music makers. And it feels like the mantra of Weekly Beats is like you finish, right? You're gonna click
push
submit
it off the cliff.
Yeah. And so I figured that hopefully I would get some gains in my process, achieve some quality via quantity, and just kind of get better at all the things as they pertain to making music.
And how long have you been making music, writing songs?
It's a good question. I guess I started writing music like in high school, like a couple years into playing guitar.
Yeah. With
kind of that like teenage obsessive energy that you can kind of harness at that time in your life.
Yeah.
But it's kind of been like an off and on thing that I've enjoyed doing for a good while now. But then before that, I played like piano and trumpet and stuff. And so music's kind of always been there.
Yeah, you've cruised through a bunch of different instruments.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your Weekly Beats song sounds like you've been writing songs for quite some time.
Thank you.
So,
I mean, high school wasn't that recently, so it has been a while. Yeah, probably like 15 years ish.
Okay. But just not finishing a ton of songs since then.
Man, there's a lot of like GarageBand files and Logic files and like notes with 2 sentences written on them.
Yeah.
Pieces of paper that just have like 4 chords written and nothing else. And I like find this and I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, you're never going to turn this into anything. Like, finish something in your life, please. So yeah, that's like the biggest change, I think, for me is like, wow, I finished so many things this year. Like, what a rush.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to join Weekly Beats, but was also apprehensive about a song a week. But just to get things out, not sit on like 8 different projects at once. And I had just before the beginning of last year read the Rick Rubin book about creativity, and one of his sort of, I guess, maybe a mantra or philosophy is like, you just gotta like finish stuff and just get it out there. Because like my problem is I'd work on stuff for so long that I'd go back to work on it and be like, I don't really like this at all. Like, I'm definitely not going to finish it.
Yeah. And I think that was like for me a big inhibitor to finishing things, is realizing that like I'm just not making music that I like yet, you know? Like
Yeah.
I feel like there were a lot of things where I would get halfway through a song and be like, I'm not that excited about this. Like I don't know. And I know that
Yeah.
there's like something to be said for like flexing those muscles of finishing something,
Yeah.
and that there's like something to be gained from that. And I'm even a bigger believer in that now, obviously.
Oh, for sure.
But when you're halfway through a song that you like don't really care about anymore, it's hard to convince yourself to
Yeah,
see
hard to
it
be
through.
motivated.
Yeah.
So you mentioned process a little bit.
Hmm.
How has your process changed over weekly beats?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for sure I've gotten like faster at some things, which has been good. I think the lesson that I have learned like 5 times this year, which means that really I didn't learn it the first 4 times, and it remains to be seen if I actually have learned it, is because I have a lot of songs with like a lot of overdubs and layers, and it kind of sucks to do that if you're not done writing the song, and then
Mm-hmm.
like record a bunch of overdubs and then be like, oh, okay, here's like an ending that I'm going to write, and now I need to redo all the overdubs, or here's like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
bridge. So I think I'm trying to be a little more systematic these days of like, let's wait to write like the whole song before we try to record
Yeah.
too many pieces to it.
Too much polishing before it's all the way done.
Yeah. And then, yeah, there's been like some instances of like getting a little more in the nitty gritty of like logic stuff and like plugins and
Mm-hmm.
automation and EQing. Like, I'm slowly getting a bit better at all of that. But then also inevitably every week my song is like way too quiet for some reason, and I'm like, what did I do? Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there are any other big changes process wise. I think I've gotten a little better at just like pushing through the initial like, I don't know if I can come up with anything.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a
Yeah.
little more like you must come up with something. Like just it's fine. You're gonna soldier on and make something.
Yeah, that's a dangerous mental trap to get into
Mm,
of I don't know if anything's flowing right now, or
right.
I have nowhere to start. I might as well not start at all.
Yeah. Um, and I kind of oscillated between being good at that and not being good at that this year.
Yeah,
Um,
that was definitely a thing that I like. Didn't quite lead to burnout, but it
mhm.
had those like tinges of burnout of like, I don't know that I can finish this, but experimentation always led me out of the hole.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I missed a few weeks, which I think at times it was a little bit of like, yeah, we're in the hole. I don't know if I'm getting out of the hole this week. That's gonna have to be okay, or just being busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Well, how does your lyric writing process go? Because that's a whole nother element. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just writing instrumental songs.
Oh, it's no jest
You're
about it.
you're adding these amazing, very heartfelt, touching lyrics
Thank
on
you.
top of music.
Yeah, I mean the lyrics process. It's one of those things that when I like talk about it, I feel like it sounds kind of like it's kind of dumb almost. Uh, but
Well,
I'll
I
try and
need a
sound
dumb
real
way
smart
to
about
start
it.
writing lyrics. So,
Yeah, I mean, usually I have like some semblance of like chords or like a guitar thing or something, and then I'm kind
hmm
of just like da 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 da, and uh, maybe saying words that may or may not make sense, trying to
like
find like melodies.
the gibberish melody approach.
Yeah, and in reality, like an embarrassing amount of that content like ends up being the actual lyrics at times. You know, like I certainly try to wordsmith and like retroactively make things make sense, but then there's also like lines that I'm like, what was I talking about? Like I don't think I actually
Yeah.
thought about this one. That might have just been like a subconscious like stream of nonsense that like made it into the final track. Like, oops, I guess that's fine.
Well, you do a good job of at least the lyrics that I've read going back and like making things fit together.
Thank you. I mean, usually by the end, I have at least like a semblance of what I think a song is about, which is helpful, and then I can kind of look back and fix some things and try to make it make sense. And then sometimes I'll decide weeks later, like, nah, the song's not about that. It's about it's about something else entirely.
I mean, that's really cool.
But I don't know. It's certainly something.
I mean, that doesn't sound like such a dumb process to me.
Okay, well, thank you. But you had, I know you've had at least a handful of songs that had lyrics or vocals of some.
I think I did one just sort of like spoken word, maybe boring white boy rap.
You love to see it.
So I think the next weekly beats I want to do more vocal lyric kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just the way I write songs. I don't often leave enough space even for the stuff that I've got going on. I need to learn to leave more space so that maybe lyrics could fit in there.
Sure. Like if you've got strong leads and sections already, it's like, we don't really need words mucking this all up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I mean, you do such a great job at just kind of these like stripped down guitar, maybe a couple other elements on top that I think is like really scary for me as a new vocal lyric writer of like, oh, it's just me and one instrument. Like this is scary.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. It does feel a little scary sometimes. And like I think for me hiding behind the relative anonymity of weekly beats is something that makes that feel a little more okay. I mean, I guess as we all kind of like comment on each other's tracks week after week, it's like a little less anonymous feeling, but still hopefully enough so that
we're still screen names on the internet in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. You got it. I have full faith.
I'll get there. And I've also always been self-conscious of a deep voice and not sounding like the majority of other singing artists, So
that resonates with me as well. As like I feel like when I started like, learning to play different songs on guitar and stuff, being like, oh, my voice doesn't go up there. Like I can't like, we better throw the capo on and like figure out a different way,
Yeah.
And it's all these people that can sing high. Like what a life that must be.
Ooh, yeah, what a life.
Yeah.
I mean, you one of the songs that we're gonna listen to, the Set Sun, you definitely hit some low notes.
Yeah. I know someone there was a comment on there that was like, wow, I didn't know. Yeah, that was like, I didn't know how low your voice could go. And I was like, oh yeah.
Well, the quote I'm thinking of is, I think Kedbrick said something like, "This is the best vocal performance of any weekly beats ever."
Yeah, I think it was Q Rush, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I read that and I was like, oh god, that's like such a nice thing to say. And like my mind is immediately like, no, you can't say that. Like there are so many like amazing people. Like I have a really hard time accepting that compliment, but it's like such a kind sentiment. Yeah, I appreciated that for sure.
Yeah, the community is always very nice, and I mean that's kind of what makes this whole experience, at least from the people that I've talked to so far, it always comes back to the community kept everything going.
Yeah.
And having a community to listen to your stuff and hear the good things that people like about what you're doing is very motivating.
Yeah. What a treat to get to just like join this community that's kind of been painstakingly built over time too.
Yeah.
That I feel like, and this was your first weekly beats as well. I think you mentioned on a previous episode, but to just kind of just be welcomed, and get to kind of be part of all this is so neat.
Yeah, to be welcomed by the veterans that have done this
Hmm.
6 times or more.
That's
Like,
a
that's
that's a
impressive.
that's a lot of music. That's
That's impressive.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely hats off to the community for making it so wonderful and inviting
Hmm.
and all getting to hear each other's music. And I'm lucky to continue facilitating the journey through that same music because there's so much.
I know. Yeah, it's thousands of songs I haven't listened to from Weekly Beats this
Yeah.
year. It's crazy.
And this goes for you or anyone else listening. If there's someone that you're like, you gotta check this out
Hmm.
that I may not have heard of or listened to throughout the year, drop me a note because I think I'm like everyone else. There's only so much I can listen to throughout the year. And I definitely got in my habits of like, here's the, dozen or so people that I listen to most frequently.
Same. Yeah, I feel like I started out the year so gung ho of like I'm going to look for all the songs that don't have comments, and I'm going to listen to all these, and like
Same.
um and then I was like, man, like I don't think I set myself up to like maintain that level of and yeah, I found myself in the very much a groove of like, these are the people that are kind of in my rotation at the moment. But yeah, there's kind of a perpetual feeling of missing out on something, I think, throughout the
Yeah.
year.
And then every once in a while, someone would comment on mine, and I'd go start to listen to their stuff, and I'm like, all
Mhm.
right, well, I got to add them to
Right.
the regular rotation because their stuff is amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It
Yeah.
is.
So you typically record into Logic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And what's your setup like? I know you do a lot of just
Mhm.
straight up acoustic guitar.
Yeah, this is a Shure SM57 that I'm using right
Ooh,
now.
wonderful.
That's
Industry
the
standard.
that's it. That is the microphone that I have. So I use that for acoustic guitar and vocals. I've got a Behringer UMC 404 audio interface, which is definitely on the
Nice.
cheaper end of things.
It gets it in there in the computer.
It puts it right in the computer. Just yeah, exactly. It's like this does the thing. You can
Yeah.
plug stuff into it. Yeah, I mean, I have like a steel string acoustic, a nylon acoustic, an electric guitar, and a bass that all live kind of next to my desk, and so I kind of grab those as needed. I have a couple other instruments that like barely made appearances this year. Like I have a ukulele that lives in its case most of the time. I
Got
have a
it.
lap steel and a mandolin. I think those are the instruments that I have.
So most of the slide guitar I'm hearing
Mhm.
is not the lap steel.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, the slide guitar stuff's funny. I feel like I've slotted myself in as
You're
like
the slide
slide.
guitar
I'm
guy
slide
now.
guitar guy somehow. Man, I'm really not a slide guitar guy though.
Oh, but like you execute it so
Oh,
well.
thank you. Thank
Like
you.
I think it's the power you have is with these stripped down tracks, tastefully adding these extra elements that are never overdone.
Hmm.
In contrast to me, I definitely have to continue to pull back and, like I said, add some more space. But I feel like you hardly even have any songs that really use drum tracks.
Yeah, it's a short list. Yeah, I mean, part of that is just like because I don't have drums, but oh, and
You've got
I have
Logic
I've got a
and
MIDI keyboard, so when I do drums, I'm like tapping away with my
oh,
fingers.
okay. Have you ever used the session drummer feature?
I have, I think, like two songs this year. I used the session drummer, and yeah, I'm kind of blown away at how cool that is and how fleshed out of a feature that is. And inevitably, I'll like have a thing that I want it to do. Like I want the drummer to like do a fill in this place and like want it to feel a certain way, and I just don't know how to turn the knobs and cut the
Yeah.
things to make that happen.
Yeah.
So if I have like a clear vision of what I want drums to sound like, I usually end up getting a bit frustrated with the session drummer.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm just like, you know, a little more chill about it, like we're just gonna jam out,
Yeah. I'm gonna hit
then
the MIDI
it's
keyboard.
then it's fantastic.
Yeah, my last episode was with Paisley Frog, and
Oh,
he
nice.
uses lots of session players
Yeah.
to kind of help him build out his songs and stuff, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. On this episode hasn't come out yet, so
Correct.
I'll learn about this soon.
Yes, you will on the Paisley Frog episode.
But can I ask, do they use like I guess there's other session instruments other than drummers in Logic?
Yeah, the way he described it, because I know nothing about Logic, the way he described it was he can add in, you know, like a session piano player, a session drummer, and he can
Whoa.
even tie, if I'm getting this right, the session player to one of his live recordings, and it will kind of like emulate and play along with it.
Whoa. All
I
right.
was like, that's insane.
Yeah, I need to look into this a little bit. That sounds
Because
pretty
he's
cool.
like, I would come up with like a chord progression and then use the session players as sort of like the backing track to figure out where the song is going,
Mm-hmm.
or vocals, and then go back and maybe record it live or change something.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That could have been very useful a couple times this year.
Well, another community aspect. You might have to get up with the Paisley Frog, who definitely knows how to run these session players.
Interesting. Yeah, that would be a nice middle ground between real drums and slamming my fingers against a keyboard. I should probably be using that a bit more.
Could be helpful.
Yeah.
So you're not you're labeled the slide guitar guy now, but you hadn't really messed with it before?
Yeah, like intermittently. Like I think when I think about slide guitar, like I think the vast majority of slide players are like blues guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't do any of that, you know? Like I think there's a lot of slide guitar isms and go to like guitar moves on slide, or like people playing open tunings, and I just like I don't really know that world at all.
Yeah.
But you know the song "My Sweet Lord" by George Harrison by chance?
Yeah.
There's that like slide riff.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's so melodic and so good. So I just want to copy George Harrison and like
and I mean,
use slide more in that way.
You do kind of emulate some pedal steel accents, I would say.
That could be, yeah.
Which I would love to learn pedal steel. Whenever I see a great pedal steel player, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm always completely mystified.
I know. I'm like, this is insanity.
It never looks like there's that much happening, like on the hand level. But you hear crazy stuff, and it's like, what are they doing? Well, then
you look at their legs, and I'm like, oh, I don't know about that.
Right. It does seem like a pretty coordinated effort.
Yeah, it looks like a significant time investment to get good at it.
Yeah.
Which, if I were to invest any time, significant time, it would probably be to actually learn piano. Like, where I could actually play it.
Piano seems helpful for making most styles of music.
I know how to hunt and peck.
Yeah.
And like make some chord shapes, but I'm not coordinated enough to like play along with something.
Right. Yeah.
This is why I sequence things.
That's kind of where I'm at too with piano. Is like I can hit you with a nice C major scale, and we run out of tricks pretty quickly.
Yeah, I can hit all the white ones.
Yeah, exactly. Or all the black ones. I can do that too.
Yeah. Choose your poison.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, are you thinking about putting out an album?
I don't know, like maybe I don't really know like how to do that.
I think you just
So
go on Bandcamp and like wrangle up some songs and, you know.
yeah, so like yeah, I don't know. Like I guess I could just like grab like my 10 favorite songs from Weekly Beats and like call it an album, but for some reason that feels not that feels less comfortable somehow
Oh,
than
interesting.
having them be Weekly Beats songs. Like I think in my mind, uh, I would want to like I would probably painstakingly like try and polish everything and like make it
Got
all
it.
like do that extra bit of work that like a week doesn't really let you do.
Yeah.
I think I still probably have some hangups about like putting music out in the world and calling it done. If I'm being real with myself, which like I've gotten better about through this process,
Yeah.
but hasn't cured me quite yet. I'm still a
Like, is
little
it,
weary.
oh, I only spent a week on this, so it's not worthy of like album level?
Not that it's not worthy, but like I think for me, going back to like the having a hard time calling stuff done is that, and I'm going to like display a fairly toxic mindset, which is like when you say something's done, you're saying that's the best I could do, and
Oh,
I, you
okay.
know,
I see.
and I don't think that's like how a person ought to think, but that's like that's a voice that's present in my head, right? Whereas
Yeah.
in a week, I can say that's the best I can do in a week, right?
Yeah.
And there's an asterisk that kind of
There's like an
lets me
element
relax a bit.
of giving up.
Yeah, maybe, or at least like acknowledging like the limitations of circumstances. Whereas if I'm like putting a song in an album, like I kind of want to say that I really like did the very best I could to make it the
Got
best
it.
version of itself. Um, it sounds like a lot of work, so I don't know, man.
Now we're back to the not finishing things
Yeah, I mean,
part.
this is the cycle. So we'll see. I'm album curious. Like, uh, yeah, there's definitely like songs from this year that I'm pretty happy with, and a short list of finished songs from before this experience that like could also.
Well, I just feel like you have such a style of your own that a lot of these tracks just fit so good
Mm,
together. It's like almost natural for them to live in a more curated by you collection.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that.
Like I would even buy an album of just your doodles or
Well,
your noodles.
that's very sweet. Yeah, well, maybe for some reason a noodle album. I have like no reservations about putting a noodle album
Okay,
out
all
there
right.
like
Maybe
that.
that's a good barrier to entry.
That's my like dipping the toes in,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Well, on the set Sun, you kind of mentioned that you had another. It was based off another thing that you had worked on
Hmm.
that had some like more instrumentation, and I was kind of curious since like I think that one is amazing and came out great. Do you
Thank you.
still feel like it needs those extra layers, or like I
Hmm.
know when I listen to a song that I've quote unquote finished for quite a while and then go try to add other things to it, it's almost like I've heard it the old way
Right.
so much that like the new thing just doesn't really add anything else to it.
Yeah, that's a funny one because I I had written half of a song and then overdubbed a bunch of layers onto it. As one does, um, and it sat unfinished for I don't know, like 3 or 4 years probably. And then yeah, for a weekly beats, I was like, we're gonna finish
We're gonna
this,
finish.
and like I managed to write the rest of it, but didn't have time to record with all the overdubs and stuff. And yeah, at the time, I kind of felt like it did need those different layers and whatnot. And then got a bunch of like really kind feedback about it and people saying really nice things. And I was kind of like, man, maybe
Maybe
I'm
it's
like
fine.
being a bit of a downer on this song, and it actually like can stand on its own and be kind of a more intimate thing in that way.
Yeah.
So I haven't decided which I like more, but
I mean, it would be interesting to hear that song with more of your filled out track elements, potentially with some slide guitar.
I don't think there was slide on it, but there was like electric guitar and
I mean, you got to, but
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I think there was like drums too, and like the louder part, which is probably hard to imagine going from the version it has now.
Yeah, that like I was having a hard time imagining extra things on top of it, hearing it like it is now. So
Yeah,
that's kind of why I was curious of like, oh, does it ruin it to finish it,
right?
Quote unquote finish it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just want to throw the kitchen sink at a track just like for fun. You know, like how many tracks can we put in this track, right? Like let's just go a little crazy. But I guess restraint is probably good as well.
It is, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Well, you know, when you have a DAW and it's like unlimited tracks,
oh yeah,
it's easy to get carried away.
Yeah, for sure.
On the M8, the best you can do is like dub some stuff down and, you know, combine some stuff, but it gets pretty messy.
You're an M8 guy.
Yeah.
I was going to ask like a question, like a clarifying question, as if I had anything articulate to say other than, oh, that's like the thing with the buttons on it, right? And then I realized how ridiculous that was.
I call it the Game Boy looking thing.
Yeah, they look super cool.
Yeah. I got it, I think maybe in February or March last year. And I was kind of on the fence of if I would really like the tracker workflow. And turns out I really, really love it.
Yeah. That scares those things scare me a little bit. I don't
Which if you listen to that Ranjit episode, we swoon about the M8 a little bit too much, I think, but
oh yeah.
I won't turn this episode into that.
Well, it feels like if you're about it, you're about it. Like it's one of those things that to me, it feels like there's an entry barrier, but I guess that's true of like any tool for making music.
Yeah, I think I was cruising around making stuff in like a week. So
nice.
It really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Well, should we get started with the music?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. I think I'm going to save your pick, The Set Sun, which we've talked about multiple times already, for the last of your picks.
Okay.
So the first one I'm going to play is Make Believes and Plans. Cool. I'll hit it.
I'm told it has to be so. Hard to show you exactly how it goes. You say you wouldn't freeze until it's dark. When cars go crashing downstairs, is it just as you prepared? Your plans and make-believes keep you dreaming. You're dreaming. Try to toss my hand aside as the water rises high. You needn't be afraid, but you'll have to wait. When you want that Greek alone day, skip stones and climb too high. Take it by your hands, make beliefs and plans.
All right. So, what made that one of your top 3 picks?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna make a bold statement and say that was actually my top 1 pick,
Okay. All right.
which is, I don't know. It's like in some ways feels like a kind of.
So of the entire year, that's your favorite song.
I think so. And yeah, I don't think like there's anything super noteworthy about it either. I think that was like the song where I kind of settled into almost like a sonic signature of like, this is kind of what I sound like.
Yes.
And I think there were songs before it that felt pretty similar and had a lot of those elements, but I think this was the first time that I heard it when it was done, and I was like, oh,
That's
like
me.
this kind of feels like home a little bit,
Yeah.
in a way that like I've been like trying to do and achieve, and yeah, it feels like this was the closest that I got in like a sonic sense.
And that was week 27, so just over the halfway point.
Yep.
What
And
do you think you figured out about that one that you were just really happy with the sound?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the recording process for that one was like kind of wicked fast, honestly. And I think part of it was like the freedom of the deadline in this instance of like, we're just, we're just gonna record guitars, and it's, I'm gonna do my best to be like intentional and figure out what sounds good, but also not like nitpick too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's kind of like a lightness to it that feels good.
Like just like letting it flow.
Yeah. And then there's kind of that like that fuzzy bass that for me just like that just feels really good. And then like I don't know, there's like a lot of space too in between like lines being delivered. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like for most of the year the music of mine that I enjoy listening to most is like whatever I've done most recently, and then things kind of fade for me with time a little bit.
Mm.
And this one I kind of continue to enjoy how it sounds. But yeah, like I think at my heart I'm just like a guy that wants to write like simple like 4-chord songs with kind of cozy sounding instrumentation.
Yeah, you got the cozy down for sure.
Yeah.
And I really like how you took this experience watching your nephew and turned it into these lyrics.
Yeah. Kids are fascinating.
They are.
Yeah. I mean, I have a handful of nephews and spent lots of years as a teacher. And so I think that comes up in a lot of my music of just like, the world through kids' eyes is like fascinating. But yeah, I think he just turned 3. It's changing so quick.
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of think that's what makes music making fun is you're kind of doing things like a sonic playground, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get to experiment, you get to try weird stuff, you get to add percussion over here or slide guitar over here and do whatever you want, really. And as an adult, there's not a ton of areas in our life outside of making music or art that we get to have that sort of freedom.
Yeah. Like I think last week you were talking about that with that Ranjit, a bit of like just the ability to play when making music, and that that joy and freedom. And yeah, this maybe wasn't a track where I like tried a bunch of new stuff or did anything crazy, but it also felt very like, I was that kid like calmly building like a block tower in the corner, like I'm having a good time over here. It's low stress, like we're just kind of making a thing. and feeling good about it.
Yeah. So it's almost like you found your home base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I kind of don't want to make a bunch of songs that all sound the same, and also like all my songs like kind of sound the same. Like that's okay, you know.
I mean, I would call that your style.
Mm-hmm.
We chatted a bit about this with Paisley Frog in the episode before this because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've listened to much of his stuff, but he does like 9 Inch Nails one week, reggae dub the next week,
Yeah.
like folk songs, like just all over the place.
Mm-hmm. It's so cool.
And we talked about, I was like, I admire that you can do all this like context switching and
Yeah.
genre bending and changing. And he's like, well, I admire people that like have their own sound and can like make the things that sound like them. So I
Uh,
concluded that we always want
right.
what someone else has.
Yeah. I know. If someone could teach me to play some heavy metal guitar, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. The next Cursory album is death metal.
Right. Yeah. I know. I kept thinking like I'm gonna make a heavy track one of these weeks. Like it's coming. Watch out, world. And somehow we made it through unscathed and didn't have to deal with that.
That's amazing. Well, maybe next Weekly Beats.
Right. Yeah. We'll see.
All right, we'll move along to the next one. To Take Sides. Here we go.
It's dim, but you will not fall or undo all the lint in the ball. You say you won't live to lose. You fall to arms. You say you wanna sow into words of old and nothing new. It's true. It's true. We're right, so you lose. Confide in only a song that maybe I still got it wrong. I thought we could get through. Divided, ignite, feeling we're burning through our time. Could I cut off all who don't align? Or pardon all your crimes? There's a love I hoped we'd find. I won't ask them to take sides. And they'll give it their best try.
All right, so another stripped down, bare bones, but for me, the fast strumming is almost like its own percussion track.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I alluded to this in the description, but like, and I think a couple of people commented on this too, that like fast downstroke, like indie music is kind of its own little genre. It's like angsty, but like gently angsty, you know, like it's,
Yeah, is this your version of angry?
maybe. Yeah. Yeah. There's something funny about like starting with a super dissonant chord and just kind of hanging out there for a while. That like I'm fairly aware that I gravitate towards like the diatonic chords that work nicely together, you know?
Yeah.
And I know that music is like a lot about tension and resolution, and like, I don't know, man. I try to stay away from tension in life, right? Like, let's be a little resolved over here. But in this particular instance, I was, you know, kind of stretching myself to be okay with that dissonance and tension, and then kind of seeing where that might lead to. It was also a rare instance of playing around with a capo on just without any particular goal in mind. Like normally for me, a capo is very much like we put this on when we want to play this specific thing.
Right.
But it does kind of change like the feel of the whole instrument and provide access to some interesting chords. Like that's a chord that, yeah, I don't think I would have any way of playing without a capo.
Yeah, it's usually a tool to reach a vocal range.
Yeah. So it was kind of nice to have that like reveal a sound that I hadn't really messed with before and see what came of it.
What makes this one of your top 3?
Yeah, this one I'm less like, this is definitely in my top 3. Like I really like this one. Rah rah. It's more that it's like it felt a little different for me somehow. I think again that tension, but yeah, it's just like a different kind of chord sequence. Like I think it resolves on the 1 for like a hot second and then like never goes back there again until like the next verse. This was also in the middle of my input delay woes. There was like a period of a few weeks where
I think I read that some like latency issues.
Yeah, where I like could not understand why I was experiencing latency. For a second, I thought that my like internal sense of rhythm had just like left me without explanation, right? Like I was trying to double.
Got the yips.
Yeah, I was trying to double over this like strummy guitar thing, and every time I played it back, it's like, and I was like, oh my god, I can't do it. I can't make music anymore. And yeah, it turns out like when your computer is 9 years old, like you can't put like 4 effects on a track and have input monitoring turned on.
Got it.
Or Logic kicks in and says, you must not want to be in low latency mode anymore because you've turned on all of these plugins.
Oh, I see.
So I became too fancy in using too many plugins at a time, I guess.
It's like, you must not want to burn your computer down.
Right.
We'll turn this off for you.
But again, like a limitation meant that I had to come up with like a different way to adorn with like a couple of like background guitars and stuff.
Yeah.
And like the double tracked vocals and harmonies, I think came together pretty nice for this one.
I would agree with that.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It just felt a little different for me, but
it's like your style, but pushing your own boundaries a little bit within that style.
Yeah. Just a little push.
Yeah.
Just a little push.
Yeah. A nice little change.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll jump on to The Set Sun.
Okay.
Here we go, which we've already talked about a few times.
Don't run, don't chase the set sun. Change can seem certain, you learn until it's done. For how long years feel when young? those fears won't hurt you, it's been years. Some pains are real, others just seem near. For how long years feel when young? Well, I see them crumble away. Time's tides will wash night from every day. You live and laugh, you feel. So you will walk away clean. There's doubt, there's burn and there's burned out. But if you could let your hair and your guard down, for how long you've held it all. Well, I see you turning your face, imagining clear days through every rain. You jump and splash your feet, so you will walk away clean.
All right. Tell me about the set sun.
Yeah, well, I guess we've talked about a lot of the making of this one. Yeah, what else is there to say?
Well, as we were listening, I was like, this could use some strings.
Mhm.
Like, that would be nice in the background.
Yeah, I think especially at the start, there's just kind of like a simple, like quiet guitar thing and like not really anything else happening, which if you're trying to like grab somebody in the first, 20 seconds of a song or whatever, you're probably going to lose some people there, I think. And that's fine. But yeah, I could see having some other instrumentation. Yeah, I think the big story of this one for me is like, honestly, like changing my tune of how I felt about it after reading all the nice comments and being like, oh, like this is maybe a nice thing.
Yeah.
If all these people who like I really respect who make great music are like saying that this kind of stands out as something nice, that maybe I should like figure out how to accept that and like be happy and proud of it, I guess.
Yeah, like we talked about a little bit before, being able to do a vocal delivery like that with nothing to hide behind is like very inspiring to me. And like I said before, also very scary.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to hear that you're a little scared too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's why I double track most things.
Yeah.
Is just to have somewhere to hide a little bit, to make it sound a little stronger. That it's pretty rare these days that like I put a song together and I'm like, let's just do one vocal track.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, like in this particular instance, yeah, like listening back, there are a couple moments where I'm like, oh, like that's kind of all right. Like
Yeah.
I did a better job than sometimes maybe.
Then you wanted to admit to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I think I have a hard time like giving myself that pat on the back, but getting it from other people is, uh, kind of a whole other kind of warmth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hearing it from multiple people and
Hmm.
not just, your friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do
Definitely.
like the kind of change in strumming in the chorus. It kind of sets it apart without adding anything new to it.
Hmm. Yeah. I know I said at the end of the description, to be honest, I'm just here for the loud parts. That's definitely like the part of the song that I liked, and it almost felt like the verses were there just to like get us to
Got it.
that part. Which is like, yeah, I hate when I have like a chorus that I like a lot more than a verse or vice versa,
Hmm.
but it feels like you kind of need both depending on how you've like written the song.
Yeah, the verse is just the commute to the chorus.
Yeah. So I think that was my hang up with this one before, that like I liked the loud parts and the quiet parts kind of felt like serviceable. But then, yeah, something about being more stripped down kind of reveals that it's maybe okay. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, again, with the lyric writing,
Hmm.
you have a way of writing things that kind of makes me a little sad.
Yeah. Oh no.
But I was
Yeah.
trying to think of how to say this when I was listening earlier today.
Hmm.
It was like you write things in a way where it's specific yet generic enough
Hmm.
where you can kind of put yourself in the song.
Sure. That's awesome. That's great. Yay. That makes me really happy to hear. Unless it's making you feel sad, in which case
I
you know.
mean, I would go with the stance that it's okay to feel things.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's funny. I also feel like, and maybe I also have lyrics in this one that reflect how I feel about the sections where like the chorusy, like louder parts are a lot more optimistic.
Yeah,
And
that's interesting.
I think in coming back to finish the song, I was like, this is a little doom and gloom. Like, I do want to end on a positive, and I feel like I usually try to end on a positive note. Maybe all of my songs are just like picture books that try to end with like a happy message. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's a good way of looking at it.
But yeah, I liked the imagery of like, you know, it's kind of on the nose, but like, oh no, it's raining, but like you jump in the puddles and like walk away
Yeah.
clean. Kind of this. Uh, that just sounds nice. I don't know.
And definitely looks like you were coaching yourself through the verses. Change can seem uncertain. Change can seem certain. You learn until it's done.
Yeah, when you like look too hard at any one of these lines, like you can kind of get in the weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely like an implied heaviness there that like like that line was written like 4 years ago or so. So I'm a little less attached to whatever sentiment I was
Yeah.
trying to nail down. But
Well,
yeah,
lyrics aren't always for the listener to be transported to how you felt writing it.
this is
That's why I think your
true.
lyrics are so great, is because I don't have to make up a story about how or why you wrote this.
Hmm.
Like, I can instantly put myself in there and come
Yeah.
up with my own stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, there were a lot of tracks this year where I wrote like a little blurb to like be like, here's what the lyrics are about to me.
Yeah.
And I got a comment from Replicator saying like, you know, like maybe there's benefits to not doing that, right? And giving the
Yeah.
listener that freedom to kind of have their own interpretation. And I have kind of two minds about it, that there's songs I like listening to by other artists that I have no idea what they're about, but I know what they're about to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then there's songs where like you hear the context and like read an interview or something and you're like, oh my God, I get it now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess it kind of depends on the song and the person and the circumstance, but
It's like when you hear someone ask a painter, like, what does this painting mean? And they're like, I don't know. You figure out what it means to you. Like, I'm
right.
not going to tell you what I painted it for.
Right. Yeah, like I put all my feelings into the painting. Like I'm not going to just like
Exactly.
tell you what they are.
Yeah. So very cool. Well, we will press on
Okay.
to my picks. And I think we're going to start out with Morning Dew.
Okay.
Here we go.
Winter days are short, but songs are long. Careful when you walk, it's safer to crawl. Never far from home, keep a peace with you. Sticks to you in morning dew. All the clothes you wore are still right here. With every page you read, it's getting kinda weird. Never far from home, and the skies are water blue. It sticks to you like morning dew. Never far from home, never far from home. You're never far from home. Never far from home.
This was one of my favorites because it starts out with that super catchy chord progression with a bunch of hammer-ons. Like, it's just like, okay, like it's got a good
Okay.
groove to it. And then I don't know what to call this in song structure land, or even if this is a particular song structure, which it doesn't have to be.
Sure.
But the sticks to you and morning dew little rise up turnaround thing, would you consider that a chorus or like a really short chorus?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, my gut reaction is like, oh, it's a chorus, and then I'm like, well, is it though? It's like doesn't have that like anthemic moment that I feel like a chorus often
But
is.
it kind of does, but it's just like so short
Yeah.
that you're like, I gotta wait around to hear that again.
Right. It's like, oh, that was it. All right, I guess we move on.
Yeah, but it also, the lyrics are so great.
Thank you.
Sticks to you and morning dew, and this whole just imagery, like it, I don't know, it just kind of for me, the perfect storm of these, like we were just talking about, lyrics that you can kind of put yourself in there,
Mm-hmm.
and remembering back to someone, things that stick with you, memories that stick with you, and walking through morning dew and having it stick to your shoe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Because when you mentioned that this was one of your picks, I went back and listened to it, and I was like, man, this has very similar chords to Make Believes and Plans, the other song that I picked. I was like, man, all my songs sound the same. But
no, that little morning dew turnaround thing, I don't know, there's just something about it that matches the lyrics in this sort of longing but yet hopeful sort of way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just really stuck with me since the first time I listened to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
And this was, I think, week 18?
18. Okay. Yeah, this was another
16.
Older song kind of revisited for Weekly Beats. That honestly I got pretty close to finishing initially. But then coming back and kind of telling myself I was going to finish it, coming up with instrumentation that felt good. I think my favorite part about this one is probably the doubled slide solo at the end.
Ooh, yeah.
Which feels like it gets just slightly out of control because I'm not proficient enough at slide guitar to be in control when doing as much as I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And then doubling over it kind of furthers that effect because I'm not proficient enough at slide guitar to match what I did before.
Yeah.
Super accurately.
Plus some latency issues, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We'll never know. But there's kind of an interesting little bit of chaos in there that grows at the end.
But I kind of think that imperfect doubling and things a little messy kind of just adds to the humanness of it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Not just because it serves the purpose of making me look more intentional about things, but because I do like how it sounds as well.
Since I primarily sequence things, I have to add sloppy shit in.
That's actually
to make a human.
Yeah, I guess.
Otherwise, it's too perfect.
That's fascinating. Yeah, you got to program in things being slightly out of time or off pitch, or
right.
If you want that.
Yeah.
Wow. I wouldn't know how to avoid.
You're like, I'll just go with it's perfect.
Right. Yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, I really love that song, and I liked the freedom to not make it into a formal chorus or follow some sort of if I were writing the song, I would be like, this chorus is not long enough. It's got to be a proper chorus to stick with whatever ideals a chorus is, but it's perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely a theme that came up this year was that I think I have a lot of songs that are just A section, A section, A section, A section. or just 3 A sections.
Yeah.
I feel half of my songs are just 3 A sections.
Yeah, I definitely had songs throughout the year where I'm warning everyone, this follows no traditional structure. It's this is the shit that fit together this week.
Right, buckle your seatbelts.
We're going on a journey. And I think JWH on a couple of them was oh, that was a journey.
Yeah.
All right, we will move on to All You Can Dream.
Okay.
Feel the yearning in your soul. Every ocean, every port steers away to parts unknown. Feel that weight and bend your knees. That world beyond your feet, all you can see. All you can dream. I tell you all that you could be a current, could be a breeze, could be exactly what you need. Say you'll never leave this hole. All you burrowed, all you know. If you're right where you belong, what could go wrong? 'Cause you can make the best of this place. Freely give, but you'll have to take. Find and recreate, but we can't make you leave. All you can dream. I tell you all that you could be a current, could be a breeze, could separate or could set free. All you hold fast, 10-year to drought, what you had fought for, what lands in your lap. Could be a current, could be a breeze, could tell anyone, but you couldn't tell me, you couldn't tell me.
That's one of my favorites, or one of my picks, because, you start out immediately with your signature slide guitar, or signature now. And I really like the picking pattern, the it just adds a lot of movement to it. And then you do this really unique switch at the chorus to a different, slower tempo.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sort of makes the whole song you've got this fast finger picking thing, and then it's just oh, let's sit back and let the slide guitar take us.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah,
drums. And drums in here.
Yeah, a rare appearance of drums. I know when I was picking my three, I was like, I should pick something with drums to show that I have range. So I'm glad you did it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this came from the guitar, the finger picked thing, which is very much akin to like the band The Dodos. I feel like my influences are not very well hidden if you know what they are often, whether conscious or not. But yeah, like I had that guitar part for. I mean, I probably like noodled that out in like January and was like, "This will be my weekly beat song this week." And then I was like, "I don't know what to do with it." And
Yeah,
I
not
did that.
this week.
I did that like 6 times, and then somehow made it to September and was like, "Okay, here we go. We're doing it." And
Yeah, week 38.
man, it took a while. Yeah, like I guess this is like my a day in the life by the Beatles moment, where like we're just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
smash two things together that like don't match vibe or tempo really, and if we just commit to it, then like maybe it works.
Yeah, I mean, you did a really good job of handling the switch between the tempos. Like, I know doing that can be very difficult and sometimes sound awkward, but I didn't
Yeah,
get that feeling at all. Like, it was kind of like the break the song needed at that time, and to just like really slow it down
right.
gives the whole song just a different vibe.
Yeah, you just gotta like you gotta take a breath every once in a while, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I wrote about this. My note at the bottom, recording process notes, aka whining, which is just me complaining about like trying to figure out how to
Yeah.
have two different click tracks at different tempos, which like I kind of figured out, but then you have to finagle like that transition and
Mm-hmm.
like draw the curve of like at what rate do you want it to change and like where do you want
Oh,
that to start. Um, and I was like, man, I'm just like spending so much time on this. And so I did the whole thing like without a metronome instead, which like in retrospect was maybe not the move. Like I think this would have sounded a bit better if I had been able to tidy it up a bit more. And because like yeah, doing finger drums without a metronome is pretty rough because you can't like quantize anything
yeah.
after.
Yeah.
Like you can go back in and like drag stuff around, but man, it feels like a lawless land.
It is.
Yeah.
Coming from a MIDI sequencer, that's dangerous.
Yeah. But yeah, I think in this one, like, I definitely liked how the slow parts turned out. And kind of, yeah, that letting things open up. Like the ride cymbal, like the mellow kind of drum beat, all that.
Yeah. I actually didn't realize until I went back and listened trying to find my picks of how few songs you had drums. And so I was like, "Oh yeah, I gotta pick one with drums, to show your range."
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Yeah, but my other notes on this were that slightly distorted guitar solo towards the end,
oh yeah,
like very, like I touched on earlier, very tastefully done, like just nice addition to the song.
the one that I wrote, I described as a somewhat indulgent, overdriven guitar solo at
Yes,
the end.
indulge, baby, indulge.
Yeah, man, there's yeah, guitar solos are a weird thing. Like, and that was a long one by my standards. Like I'm not like a Freebird guy, you know. I can't just like rip for minutes. Like I run out of stuff to do.
No, it was great.
But it was kind of fun.
All right, well, we'll come down to my final pick, and we'll chat about this one and then listen to it on the way out. But my final pick is All Unsaid, and my
Cool.
notes on this were there's like a really great chord progression and picking pattern that you kind of do some slides up to higher notes. Like it's a really cool arrangement.
Hmm.
I also wrote down that I am also yearning for summer, because that is one of your lines. Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more about All Unsaid.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a funny one. I was away from home, and I just had like a USB microphone, which is like not really the tool that you ever want to find yourself using, but it like kind of works. And yeah, I don't know. I wrote it fairly quickly. It's like a very simple chords, just kind of, it sounds like a folk song that already exists to me. Like it's just kind of picking away.
But it's got like the picking's got just a really good rhythm to it that kind of just carries it forward without the need for drums.
Thank you. Yeah, with no drums on this one. Yeah, and so I like did a take into the microphone with like just guitar and vocals, and I was like, that's fine. Let me get another. Oh, how did I decide to do this? I don't know if I wanted another take or if I just overdubbed on a whim. Normally I would overdub, like I would do 2 vocals or like 2 guitars, but I don't think I'd ever done like a guitar and vocal on one track and then like another instance of guitar and vocal on another track. That seems like a weird thing to do. Yeah, because normally double tracking like vocals, like I'm not above like doing some chopping, right, and being like, oh, like that phrase I want to match more closely, we'll like cut it up.
Yeah.
But to do like the guitar and vocal together means you're kind of committed to whatever that take is. And so I was like honestly kind of surprised that doing 2 takes sounded like pretty good together, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a weirdly, like by my standards, like a weirdly accurate doubling. And
I would have never guessed that it was recorded like that in those conditions.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you're not supposed to do that.
We're here to break rules and play around.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wound up liking this one a good bit too, and yeah, it's like a pretty simple sparse thing, and yeah, I think sometimes that's like the thing that,
I mean, you're really good at simple, sparse, like that also seems kind of like your style.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I guess that is kind of a comfort area. But
and then when you have when you have more time and it's not a week limit, you know how to add the embellishments and extra things that a song needs.
Right, and maybe drums if we're feeling crazy.
Yeah, definitely for your upcoming album.
Yeah.
And then the lyrics on this, great as usual. I wrote this block down. Careful balance, all unsaid. I'll arrive to where I'm led. See you later. Pay that fare. Until next time, you take care. Like, dang, man. That's good.
Oh, thanks.
That's good.
Thank you. Oh, that's really nice. Yeah, I mean, I think this was just like a post like Thanksgiving, like you see extended family, you have a handful of conversations maybe, but don't get to spend like as much time like really getting into it with people as you might want.
You always think about something else you wanted to talk about, or there's just never enough time.
Yeah. And yeah, like also in the back of your mind, like, be cool if it was summer right now.
I feel you on that. Yeah. There's you long for summer a lot in these songs.
Do I?
Like at least the ones that I picked. I think there's.
That's funny.
I'm only picking like 2 or 3 that I really think of, but I'm just also in that mindset because it's supposed to be really cold this weekend, and I want some summer already.
Yeah, I feel that.
That going through all of your songs, there was definitely a bunch that I had to leave behind. Some tough decisions to make. And like I mentioned earlier, all of your just noodling around with the Chroma console, and
yeah.
Yeah, I've been tempted to get one for a while now.
Yeah, they're pretty fun.
Yeah,
pretty fun.
It does look pretty fun.
It's got the colors, man.
It's got the cool noises.
Yeah, I was like, man, their marketing is out of control. Like the videos with all the colors, and I was like, man,
they know how to tug on the gas.
Yeah, I had to wait like months to buy it to like convince myself that I wasn't just being, preyed upon by effective
Frivolous.
marketing.
Yeah,
I was like, do I need
the marketing
this?
is not going to get to me this time.
Right, like I'm above it. Like all these effects exist in Logic. Like I can find them probably.
This decision is mine, my own.
Yeah, but when you see the things light up and it's like, we're piloting a spaceship back here. It's so fun.
Well, this concludes our episode. Thanks so much for coming on. It was great to dig a little bit deeper on your tracks, give them another listen, hear some of your stories of how you made things and your experience for the year.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and thanks for doing this. It's a weird feeling for Weekly Beats to be over, and then you've kind of jumped right in, and it feels like the party's still going. So I've been really enjoying listening to these episodes.
It does feel good to be a part of kind of holding the community together in some sort of way in the off season. And, when people are looking for something to listen to on Sunday night, right. I happen to be putting out a new episode then. So
there you go.
Yeah. Well, cool. We're going to play it out with All Unsaid, and thanks again.
Well, thank you.
Have a good one.
Gathered round on a sunny cold, leaves are changing every day. Feel the yearning for summer, the yearning stays the same. In that changing of the seasons, all that hides in the folds, everything you never wondered, all face the unknown. Never ask the right questions to hear what's on your mind. Hope you know that you could tell me, and believe I listen, guide. Careful balance, all unsaid. I'll arrive to where I'm led. See you later, pay that fare. Until next time, you take care.